It's funny that we were talking about Alex earlier and like getting to know different parts of his life. And as you brought up, like his college days, and what an eye-opening phone call I had years ago with this man explaining how many times Randolph got Alex out of different things. He told this story about Alex drinking and driving on USC's campus and like going off-road and getting into all sorts of trouble. I think he crashed or something, and Randolph got him out of it. But we would hear story after story of that kind of behavior where in a normal situation, the parent corrects the course of what their child, even though their child is an adult, is doing. And in this case, the parent protects their kid, protects JP, the alleged predator, and gives him more of a security blanket to do this. And it just explains so much, if it's true, about who he is now.
Well, let's talk about like when you do a Jane Doe lawsuit. You could put Jane Doe, John Doe, Jane Doe, 1 through 10, 1 through 100. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll remain a Jane Doe or a John Doe. The court has to actually approve that you can proceed as a Jane or John Doe, and oftentimes the defendant will push hard for the identity of the person to be known, because they'll say, look, it's a public case. We need witnesses to come forward. And, you know, you want to file stuff under seal. You want to protect it. You don't want to put medical records or school records or something in there. But you can't just file something under seal. You have to actually get court order or court permission to do a filing. So there are hoops to go through it. You know, just because you style an action as a Jane or a John Doe doesn't necessarily mean it'll always remain a Jane and John Doe.
I do think that they will have good argument as to why they need to keep their identities quiet or anonymous. Even just the second complaint, when you see that there's retribution and retaliation, I think that we can say over the course of the last 10 months that we've seen from JP sort of a predictable pattern of retaliation, you know, obviously with the lawsuits and what have you. So there might be a good argument there.
Sometimes when you kick a hornet's nest, bees do come out, you know. Shouldn't he have known if he took the offensive against people and got this public with what he was doing? He had to have known that he had skeletons in his closet. Everybody knows their own skeletons, so maybe it would have been best for him just to have laid low here, because this doesn't look like it's going to end pretty, and it doesn't look like it's at the end of end, meaning there could be more people that possibly could come forward.
These people don't think like that.
Yeah.
It's just not in their it's not in their vocabulary to, and it's not in their way of life to look back on skeletons that they have and worry about what they did and how that would come out. I think Randy Hood nailed it last week when we were talking to him about how much the Christian faith and men like JP rely on the idea of forgiveness. We have a lot of records of him saying he believes that he can do pretty much whatever and be forgiven by God, and it's on everybody else to forgive him as well. And
forgiveness requires you to acknowledge doing something wrong.
Not in these people's religion.
It's crazy.
There's zero accountability with their idea of forgiveness, and you can see how harmful it is with these cases. And I think that that's something that Christianity needs to address at some point, because it is a huge problem that predators...
Is there a parent organization to this church that you can maybe they can get at with as a larger insurance policy, like the Southern Baptist Convention or the Pentecostal, or is this just its own
rogue, Eric? And that's another problem. So let's talk about that.
So when we say like it's a Christian problem, obviously that's true with the Catholics, like that's an institutional problem. I almost want to say this is a government problem, because when you look at the regulations, especially in the state of South Carolina, of what it takes to start a church. And when I was reporting at The Pocket, I called the Secretary of State's office, and one of the people I spoke with there was just like, if you want to steal money in South Carolina, start a nonprofit, essentially, because it's just not regulated in a very consistent way. But that said, I mean, you have churches, so even the Kardashians allegedly have a church, right? It's a business. We said it every episode. It's a churchy business. So when you're talking about this is a Christian problem, they've taken the tenets of Christianity and they found a way to market it and profit off of it because these are not churches that give back to the community, just to be clear. Like, this is a storefront church for a reason.